Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to Democracy 3. My name, of course, is Orbital Potato, and today, as promised at the end of the last series, we are going to be starting a brand new one. Indeed we are, and we are actually going to be going for a specific achievement today. And the reason that I've decided to go for this achievement is because it's actually going to be quite difficult in the context of the country that we're playing. So, the country that we're going to be playing is going to be the United States of America, and we are going to be going for a socialist paradise. Now, I've just brung up the conditions that we actually need to meet to achieve this, and it's going to be quite challenging. So, we need to get equality over 90%, a poverty rate under 20%, and the lowest working week possible. Okay, this is going to be difficult, and the reason that it's going to be difficult is because America is very, very much naturally capitalistic, so I think it's going to be somewhat challenging, not to mention the fact that we have got a very, very, very tight term limit, so we don't have very long. We will probably be playing as the Socialist Coalition, and we'll be up against some dirty right-wing party. Maybe, I don't know, Conservatives, I suppose. They're a slightly right-wing party in the UK. And 2 term limits. Each term is 4 years long. Let's go for it. Let's just leave it on 100% difficulty. I've been toying around with difficulties that are not 100%, so I've sort of scaled it up a little bit, but I'm not entirely sure how the difficulty in this game actually does scale up, because I got into the game and turns out the debt that we were in was a little bit higher, but apart from that, I don't think there's much difference. But anyway, we do have the same mods that we had installed last time. Welcome to your new job as president. The lives of all 316,668,000 citizens are now in your hands. Fantastic. Okay, so let's have a look at this, right? Let's take a long, hard look at this. So, what worries me is that we've got such a large number of people that are actually capitalist. But in fairness, it doesn't actually matter about how happy the capitalists are. Well, it does matter how happy the capitalists are, but it doesn't matter about how many capitalists we have, because the only thing that we need to do is make sure that we get equality up. Now, what can we do to make sure that we get equality down? Well, I think the way to get equality down... Equality down? No, that's not what I meant. The way to get equality up is through the abolition of, you know, the private sort of measures. Now, I think that seems to be the sensible way to go about doing things. Ghettos, that's something I actually really, really want to solve very, very soon indeed. Yeah, I'm not super sure how we're going to be able to solve that. Also, worth noting, our economic situation, it's pretty dire. I mean, our expenditure is much higher than our income. Our debt is increasing slowly but surely. The global economy has peaked and it's about to get trashy, which is not something that I'm really looking forward to. And the interest rate is not great, actually. It's really, really not great. So how much is going on debt interest? 25 billion. Wow. It's not actually that much, but hey-ho, that's the sad reality of the situation. Okay, so what do we want to do? Now, bear in mind, the first couple of turns that we have will be the best turns for us, because people will agree with us and we'll get a lot of political capital per turn. So I think what we sort of want to do, first off, is reduce this military spending by a lot. And in fairness, right, I don't really want to be doing this, right? But the fact of the matter is, we need to save at least 180 billion from this. So, you know what, going from about 238 all the way down to about 100 billion, I think is a-okay. The reason that we're going down to 100 billion is so that we are still gaining membership in state employees, although that's not actually essential. That's not essential at all. But I don't really want patriots to be annoyed at me. In fact, you know what? Yeah, let's cut this just entirely. I mean, patriots really are not going to like me in the slightest, but patriots already like me a lot. So I can be fairly happy with the fact that just getting rid of that is going to be a major way for us to actually make money. Because currently we're just spending so much on military spending. Now, it's important to note that due to the fact that that we need to, well, how can I put this? Invest in our public institutes. So, for example, state pensions, state schools, and the state health care service programs. We need to redistribute the money that we get from the military ending, or military funding pretty much ending, and then we just need to stick it into stuff like the healthcare service and schools and pensions and whatnot. I mean, that's quite simply the way that it's got to be. But you know what? The only reason that I'm doing this is to get the money, because that doesn't actually make a damned difference, right? What we really need to do is get the equality up, and the way that we can do that is by, I think, abolishing some of these draconian policies. You know, I think that's probably the first thing to do. Gated communities, for example. Not a huge fan of these gated communities. If we scale them right back, then it actually won't make a difference, and it means that we can use the 4 political capital that we've currently got. Decreases the number of liberals. That's fine, but I'm more concerned with the fact that it will actually raise equality, which is something that we really, really do want to happen. Like, I can't underline enough how much we want to raise equality. I think that getting the poverty rate down is gonna be easier. I mean, we've got, you know, a few mechanisms for getting the poverty down. For example, food stamps, and poverty is actually not that high in fairness. And the sales tax is one of these things that we plan on abolishing fairly soon, actually, because it just is a bit ridiculous. It really doesn't do any good for anybody. I mean, look, it takes a 10% chunk out of equality, and it boosts poverty. It really is very, very bad. So I think next turn, when we perhaps have a little bit more cash in the bank, we will indeed try and eradicate that sales tax. Okay, children's food. You know what? We're going to leave the law unchanged, because as much as I know that socialists and whatnot are better for our socialist paradise cause, it doesn't matter, right? We need to make sure that we keep the capitalists happy, because the capitalists are fundamentally the people that could really fuck us over in a sort of violent sense. Now, the Traditional Values Alliance. I really don't know who's going to provide the biggest threat. Not to mention the fact that we do have a shit ton of red bubbles. This is really, really not very good at all. Yeah, we need to start eradicating these red bubbles. I don't want to say I completely forgot about them, but, you know, in comparison to reducing our debt, I think these guys sort of, you know, take second place, but they can't be forgotten. They are very, very important. For example, getting alcohol abuse down would pretty much solve us, you know, 46 billion. That's not a small amount of money. That is not a small amount of money at all. You know, so what can we do, I suppose? You know, what can we do? I suppose we probably sort of want to adjust the alcohol law. Maybe bump it up a little bit. I think that's probably a wise idea. It's going to make the liberals a little bit more unhappy with us, but we will try and mitigate that by perhaps changing a couple of things. So liberals really don't like ghettos. Well, I don't think anybody really likes ghettos. I don't think that's how it works. Immigration. Can we reduce immigration, perhaps? If we can reduce immigration, oh shit! If we try and reduce immigration, then the liberals really not very happy with us, I'm afraid. Yeah. So the liberals are sort of my primary concern at the moment. What about armed police? Armed police don't really look like a thing that we can deal with, although I would love to be dealing with it next turn. That would be just wonderful if we could do that. But wow, we've absolutely barely managed to run a surplus. I mean, if we have a look at this, we can see that our expenditure is just below our income, and that is of course because military spending takes a long time to scale back, but it will eventually scale back, and when it does, we should be in a very, very good financial situation. It's just more the short-term sort of fact of the matter that we've got a lot of stuff that liberal people don't really like, and that's a real shame. That's a real shame. Anyway, let's go to the next turn. See what we've got going on. Ban alcohol adverts. You know what? We'll reject this ban. Fingers crossed the liberals are not too unhappy with us. Hopefully they won't be. So the fact that we didn't regulate children's food means that effectively we've got a little bit of a decrease in health. That's not great. Now, once again, our income is much, much higher than our expenditure. Our expenditure is going to trend downwards, which is exactly what we want to see, in fairness. Although the global economy hasn't crashed yet. It will crash, friends. Believe you me, it will crash. And I want to stay on top of my my intelligence briefings. You know, that's a priority for me. We cannot get caught out by that. So, alcohol law, this should be implemented very, very soon indeed. And we need to make sure that oh wow, we could actually get rid of this. So, you know what? State religion defines the state position on religion. We can actually make liberals happy, and we can up our equality by simply adjusting this this little slider. Very, very happy with that, actually. Religious people are quite impressed with us at the moment, so I'm absolutely 100% okay to say, hey, we can do that for the small trade-off. For religious people happiness, we can stick it into liberal happiness. Very, very happy with that indeed. Liberals don't like homelessness. I don't think anybody likes homelessness. I don't think that is much of a jump. Unfortunately, we need to try and enact some sort of public housing, I suppose. What is it called? State housing. That's exactly what we need, and we need to fully fund it. You know what? I'm afraid we just have to do it. Like we genuinely just have to do it. It's the only way that we can sort of deal with it. And it's going to up equality by 22%, which is fantastic. It's going to decrease poverty. The only thing that's annoying is the fact that it makes capitalists that little bit more unhappy. But I've got a couple of plans on how we can make capitalists just that little bit happier. And one of those is indeed the sales tax. The sales tax is something that I plan on eradicating as soon as we have the appropriate amount of political capital. I'm not in any rush to get rid of the sales tax. Like, believe me, I quite like the fact that we're having, 250 extra billion come into our bank accounts each sort of month. That is very, very nice indeed. But it's going to have to be cancelled eventually. Now, limit automated trading. This is always a no-brainer for me, right? Because it always seems like the correct thing to do to just unlimit it, because it's going to provide a little boost to our GDP, which is nice. It makes the liberals a little bit happier with us, and most importantly, the capitalists are okay with it. They actually quite like it. So by all means, yes, that is exactly what we're going to do. So definitely over the course of the last couple of turns, we haven't done anything that is super, super radical. I mean, the most radical thing that we've probably introduced is the state housing program, and things are going to get more radical than this. I mean, they've got to, quite frankly, they've got to, if we want to create this socialist paradise that we're talking about. Unfortunately, unemployment is going to be trending up, thanks in part to the fact that we are scaling back military spending, and each turn unemployment is going to increase by that little bit more because we're just not employing as many soldiers and whatnot. But crime is down, thanks in part to this superhero. That is great to see. Very, very happy with that. Something else that we need to worry about is the fact that people are going to have to re-elect us, which is not super amazing. How many turns until the election? 13 turns to the election. It's worrying. That's very, very worrying, friends. That's worrying. But hey-ho. Why are we in such a large deficit? The reason that we're in such a large deficit is because we're now spending a shit ton on state housing. I forgot about that. I forgot about that indeed, and that is going to be this way for a couple of turns while we wait for military spending to be fully cut. Now, is there anywhere else that we can cut expenditure? I mean, obviously we don't want to, we don't want to be cutting state health service, we don't want to be cutting state schools. The space program, is that really necessary? Is that really necessary? Is that really necessary? I mean, even if we scaled it right back, it would only save us 50 billion or so, and it would take a long ass time to implement. So, unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna cut it. Road building is one of those things that I really see no need to keep around. I mean, we're spending 60 billion on it. We could spend 2 billion on it. Absolutely, sign me up. Rail subsidies, is this necessary? I don't really think it is, to be honest, but we don't have enough political capital to actually change it. So we're gonna have to hold off until the next turn to do that. Indeed, we are. Okay, so let's have a look at the labor laws. Now, do the labor laws actually change anything, and are they good for us? Well, yes, you know what, they actually are. And the reason that they're actually good for us is because it will allow us to say, hey, we are going to completely change things around, and we are going to make it so the working week is as tiny as it possibly can. You know, so pretty much the only mechanic that we have to change the working week length is through this labor laws nonsense. So I think, you know, we're going to have to, very, very soon indeed, we're going to have to just say, hey, boom, we're going to have to go from here to here. And it's going to happen. I tell you, it is going to have to happen. But fingers crossed we don't have to do it for a while. Let's quickly just check our threat assessment. We haven't done anything crazy, so I'm really very, very glad that that's sort of reflected in the fact that we don't really have anybody beating our asses down. Very, very happy with that. Liberals are actually on the increase. Their happiness is going through the roof, in fairness. Very, very, very happy with that. Religious people, yeah, state religion is going to be changed around, so they're going to get a little bit annoyed, but you know what can you really do? Doesn't really make that much of a difference. Poverty actually looks like it's trending downwards. That is absolutely amazing. And I tell you, once we get this state housing program like fully implemented, it's going to take a shit long time, right? I'll give you that. It's going to take a shit long time. But that is actually really, really going to help our equality and our poverty ratings, right? So it's going to make our poverty go down by 16%. That's quite substantial. I don't know about you, but that is quite substantial. So without a shadow of a doubt, we're in a very, very good position, and you know, I think we're going to be going from a strong position into an even stronger position in the next episode. Because for now, ladies and gentlemen, my name, of course, has been Robert Potato. This has been Democracy 3. We have been playing as the Socialist USA, and until next time, bye.